All right, geometry. Today we are going to take a trip back to Algebra 1 land, and we're going to just have a short review on slope and what it means, and then we'll use that in the next lesson to actually start looking at slopes of either perpendicular or parallel lines. So let's look at slope. We can classify it one of four ways. And I would encourage you right here on these, and also when we're doing the graph down below, not as much with the ordered pairs, to always go from left to right, because you can think of slope as a change over time, and we usually consider time going forward. So if your x-axis there is time, that's our independent variable usually, then our y is the change, so go from left to right. So if we go from left to right, then one that goes up has a positive slope. One that goes down has a negative slope. And by one, I mean a line. A line that stays flat so that it is perfectly horizontal has a slope of 0. And finally, a line that is perfectly vertical has an undefined slope. And the reason is, as you'll see when we get to the slope formula here in just a minute, you can't divide by 0. And if you have a vertical line, then what you're actually trying to do is divide by 0 when you're doing slope. So we can actually say that is undefined. All right, so let's find some slopes. If you're given a graph, then M is the letter we use for slope. And you can think of it as rise over run. So you've probably heard that before back in Algebra 1, rise over run. So how much are we going up divided by how much are we going left and right? And I would, again, encourage you to go from left to right, because that means that your denominator is always going to be positive, and the only negative sign you have to worry about is in the numerator. So on this one, our M is equal to our rise. So if I start at A and I go to B, then I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 4 over our run. So starting at A again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all there is to it. Rise over run is 4 over 5. We do have a positive slope because the line is moving upwards. Number 2 here, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go, our rise is down 1, 2, 3, 3. So we have a negative 3 over our run, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can obviously reduce that to negative 1/2. Okay, we don't even have to count on this one. This is a vertical line, so M is undefined. And then finally, this is a horizontal line, so M equals 0. So we don't even have to do any calculations there. If you were to do the calculation there, you would see that our y, our rise, our change in rise is 0. So 0 over any denominator is going to be 0. And on number 3, our denominator would be 0. Okay, when given ordered pairs, we've got a slope formula, which is just a fancy way of saying rise over run. So what we have here is M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And here's the trick. It doesn't matter what point y is, or what point y1 is, and what point y2 is, and x1, x2, as long as they stay the same. So if I pick A to be point 1, then I need to pick B to be point 2 on both x and y. I can't flip-flop. If you do that, you're going to end up with the right number, but it's going to have the wrong sign. It'll be negative when it should be positive. Okay, so let's look at this one. We've got our, we'll say that point A is 1, point B is 2. So in the numerator, we've got negative 1 minus 5. And in the denominator, we've got 6 minus a negative 2. So negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. 6 minus a negative 2 is the same thing as saying 6 plus 2, which is 8. So we can say that this is equal to negative 3 over 4 once we reduce that there. And that's all there is to it. So let's do a couple more. So the slope of GH, we'll say that G is 0.1 and H is 0.2. So our M is equal to negative 6 minus a negative 11 over 7 minus, oh, I screwed that up. Ignore that, I messed up. Do y first. Don't make a Mr. McClary mistake like I just did. 7 minus a negative 3. And then we have in the x values negative 6 minus a negative 11. So I would have actually, if I had kept going that path, I would have ended up with the reciprocal of what I needed, and that would have been no good. So 7 plus 3 is 10. Negative 6 plus 11 is a positive 5. So we can reduce this to a slope of 2. Okay, a couple more. And these are our undefined and 0 ones again. So on number 7, the x value does not change. Only the y value does. And if the x value does not change, then that means this is going to be undefined. But let's look at what it actually means to be undefined. So our slope is going to be, let's see, 2 minus a negative 4 over 9 minus 9. So this is equal to 6 over 0. And that's why this is undefined, because we cannot divide by 0. 6 divided by 0 is not 0. I will take you back to Algebra 1 land if you do that to me. It hurts me, so don't do it. 6 divided by 0 is undefined. And we're going to end up with a 0 slope here, because if you look, the y value does not change. This is going to be a horizontal line, but let's actually put it out there and do it. So our y value is negative 3 minus a negative 3, and our x value is going to be 0 minus a negative 7. So this is equal to 0 over 7, equals 0 over 7, which is equal to 0. So that is a horizontal line. All right, so that's a review of slope. You'll get a chance to practice that a little bit, and then we'll move on to actually using those in the next lesson.